Hello, good afternoon. I know that usually I do this around 11 on Mondays, but today I had to do it at 1 because I had stuff going on this morning. I'm getting ready to go out of town this weekend, and I wanted to get a few things done this morning before I left, and I had just this amount of time this morning to do it. So anyway, I'm here now, and today we are going to be talking about why kids lie. And the reason I'm doing it on Zoom is because this way it will allow you, if you're interested on these meetings, for you to hop on with me and I can answer specific questions you have about whatever topic it is that I'm talking about. So like, for instance, last week I did an actual boot camp that was in the group and it was live in the group. This is different. This is on Zoom because I want to be able to talk to you like this. So if you join me at 11 Eastern, typically on Mondays, I can talk with you directly and we can solve and hash out some things that are going on at home. So make sure you hop on with me if you are interested, and then I can record it or not record it, just depending on how sensitive the material is that we talk about. So always, I want you to feel safe and secure in doing it. Today, we actually don't have anyone joining, so I am recording it. And if you have any specific questions, you can write them below or send me a DM or whatever you feel would work best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And so we're talking about why kids lie today. And hold on, let me get, why does this do this? Sometimes I can find the share screen and other times I can't, and I'm not sure why it does that. It's really weird. Okay, here we go. All right, so why kids lie. And I know this happens to all of us as parents. Our kids lie to us, and it's very concerning. We don't know why they do it, especially if we're being honest and we're truthful with them. It's a very confusing scenario to put yourself in, especially if you're a first-time parent. You're like, why are they lying? Like, where would they learn such a thing? Well, they learn it a lot of places, like at school or church or TV or whatever it is they're doing. They're going to learn about it. But I know that it's confusing at times. So you have to think about the ages your child is. They are in different stages developmentally. And so that will kind of depend on what they will lie about and what they mean by it. So if you have a child that's between 2 and 3 years old, typically they are not really understanding that they're lying. They're starting to like play with it a little bit and they're denying it, but they fully don't get it. So an example of somebody in this age group would be like, they would eat chocolate and they're going to look you dead in the face and be like, I didn't have chocolate, and there's chocolate all over their face. They're still figuring out the process of lying and how it works. And the next stage is the 4 to 6 year old. They're going to know the difference between a truth and a lie. And so at this point, they start to really play with it, and they are going to try to lie to you, but usually you can get them to tell the truth pretty quickly. An example of this would be, did you clean your room? Yeah, I cleaned my room. It's cleaned up. And then, are you sure you cleaned your room? I'm going to go check. Oh, no, I didn't clean my room. So they're going to start that whole, like, they know the difference, but they're going to really playing with it and really trying to make it work so they don't have to do whatever it is or have to get in trouble. And then stage 3 is the 7 to 8 year olds, and they're going to really begin to stick to their lies to avoid getting in trouble. They understand it fully what lying is. They totally get it, and they're going to begin to stick to it at this point. And then as kids get older, it's pretty much going to stay with this the whole time. And adults too, they will stick to their lies if they really feel like they need to avoid getting in trouble, to avoid having to do something. People lie all the time. It's just part of what happens as a human. And these are the stages of how it kind of develops within us. So then there's also levels. So when I was preparing for this yesterday, I was looking up, like, what are people talking about lying? How are experts discussing it? And so what I found was they're breaking it up into these stages and levels. And so I thought I would just share that with you. So level 1, if you have a level 1 lie, that's more of the attention-seeking lie. Someone that has low self-esteem, they may lie that they have something at home that they clearly don't have, maybe a yacht. So here's an interesting story. So we're still talking about this lie. So a little boy or a little girl in Isaac's class told him that he had a yacht. And Isaac, this is my son, is really angry because he's like, I don't think he has a yacht, but he keeps telling me he has a yacht. And he's like clearly angry because he doesn't believe the child, but this kid is sticking to the lie. And I think a lot of the reason he's doing that is attention seeking and low self-esteem. He wants to be cool. He wants to feel important. And so he's telling that level 1 lie. A level 2 is to cover up a story. So that could be like, here again, cleaning your room, or I didn't hit that person, or she did it, those kind of things. So level 2 lies, you're really starting to up the ante with it, right? You're telling something a little more serious, and that could involve a consequence. But you are telling a story to cover up something typically. And then a level 3 is you are lying to avoid, basically. So that would be like, I did do my homework. They stick to it. And then the only way you really find out is if the teacher calls you or they have a 0 in their notebook or somewhere. So that is that's like the most serious lie, because they completely stick to it and something doesn't get done, or they're avoiding something. So that's the levels of lies. And so here's some reasons why. So that was the whole reason that I wanted to talk about this today, is why do kids lie? So they're testing new behavior. That's the little ones. They want to gain approval or attention seeking with other kids or with you or with their teachers. They have anxiety or fear. And this one I think comes up a lot. We're going to talk about that in a minute. They don't know what else to say. So they will just make something up, right? They're feeling like pressure, or they just don't know what to say, so they make something up. And that can go with the impulsive. So a child with ADHD or somebody that's very like hyper might lie just because it just comes out of their mouth really quickly. And then parental pressure or stress, they might lie because they know what you want to hear. So they're going to tell you that. And then to cover something up, that could be another reason somebody might lie. All right, so what can you do? Here's a few things that you can do, and they're all pretty easy. We're going to go through them. I want to just get my notes really quick to make sure I explain everything correctly. So truth checks, that's basically whenever you give them a chance to think about it or give them a chance for correction. So what that would be like, they had told you what you know is a lie, but you're going to say to them, you know what, I'm going to give you a little more time. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and I'll be back. And I want you to think about your story and see if you think that it could be different, or if you have a different way of explaining it to me. So giving them a chance for correction, because here again, you're dealing with children. These are kids. So they're in the learning phase. Their brain is still developing. So you cannot expect them to be perfect. And they need to trust you. And so by doing this when they're little, you're building trust with them. So when they're 15, 16, they're not going to be lying to you about bigger things. So you want to make sure you build this trust and this safety now when they're little, so that when they're older, they can trust you and that you guys are able to have these conversations together. So the truth check is a really great way for that. It gives them a chance for correction, some time to think, and to come up with the correct story. The preamble method, that method is whenever they tell it, when you know they've lied about something, say you know that they didn't do their homework because the teacher sent you a note. So you could say to them, I'm going to ask you a question and you might not have the answer I want to hear from you, but I love you and I want you to be honest with me. You could even say, you're not going to get in trouble for this. We just need to talk about it. I need to understand what happened. So kind of depending on the severity of it, you might not want to give a consequence if you are just wanting to get the truth from them to get, say, the homework done. So you would give them that whole preamble, like, I'm going to ask you a question and it might not be something that you want to talk about. And you might tell me something that I might not want to hear, but that's okay. I just want to communicate and talk with you. I like this preamble method because here we're building trust. We're building a way to connect with our kids. So when they're little, they build that trust with you. They build that connection and that relationship. So as you grow older, they will tell you the truth. The next one is modeling honesty. That seems very just, that would be what you would do, but you'd be surprised. When you lie as an adult, your kids see you and hear you, and you're teaching it to them, right? You don't realize you are, but you are. If you lie about, say they were absent from school and you make up a story, that's going to be something that they think is normal and that they should do. So say you guys went on a trip to, I don't know, Busch Gardens, right? And so you tell your kids, well, we're just going to tell your teacher that we're going out of town to see family and that you've been sick all weekend and then you just got sick when we were gone and that's why you didn't get back. So when you do stuff like that, they hear and they see you, so that's not helping your situation with the lying. So make sure you're modeling honesty, living in your integrity, being truthful. That's going to be the best way for everyone, and your kids will grow up honest. If you lie when they're little, they will be liars when they're adults. So make sure that you're being honest and truthful as the parent. You can just make honesty a household rule, right? You could have somewhere posted in your house, maybe on your fridge, we are honest here, we tell the truth. And that's just a rule that they grow up with and they know that's how it works. You can have honest conversations with them about it. If they are a little bit older and they do trust you and you do have this connection in this relationship, you can have a conversation like, I was in your room last night and the window was open and it was like 2 a.m. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Clearly, you know, they climbed out the window, but instead of coming at them like very angry and hateful or whatever, maybe have the conversation with them and just being and coming at a place of like empathy and trying to figure out why they would climb out the window when you know that's not the appropriate thing to do. Make sure you assess the lie before you give severe consequences. Remind them of the consequences. That's another thing. If you don't tell me the truth, there could be a consequence for this. You might lose your iPad, or you're not going to be able to go out this weekend, or whatever it is. So, and then don't expect perfection from them. They are kids again, they are developing still. So make sure that you give them grace, right? You're teaching, you're in a teaching model when they're little. You're constantly teaching, you're constantly modeling for them. You are the model of what they are going to be as they grow up and they grow older. Okay, so what not to do? Don't corner the child. Don't label them a liar, like, you're lying to me. I know you snuck out of the house. Let them come to you and talk to you about it. When you do this kind of stuff, they're not going to trust you, and it's going to cause a lot of problems for you as they get older. And they're not going to want to have a nice relationship with you. And also avoid the power struggle. If you're at a place with them and they are not budging, they're not telling the truth, just give them time. So, you know what, I'm going to have to walk away from this conversation right now. I don't like how it's going, and we'll come back to it later. And so avoid that power struggle of you having to be right and you having to know the truth, because they might not tell you the truth. And at that point, you can give a consequence or whatever it is that you want to do. But coming back to it at another time is always appropriate. All right. So what are some resources that I like? And so this is one of my favorite parts to do now, because I'm going to be teaching you some of the things that I've done with my clients or with the kids that I see. So one of my favorite websites is called the Child Mind Institute. Now this has information about everything from lying to ADHD, anything. Oh, my cat's here again. He always comes up here when I'm doing this. They have so many great things. And so actually today I did take some information from this Child Mind Institute. So if you go in to Google, type in Child Mind Institute lying, you're going to see even more information and more ideas of some things to do. Find some books at the library about lying, and not necessarily like what is a lie, but maybe some books about like characters lying in the story, like Paw Patrol. And like, even with TV, they do, if you have little ones, they'll do those stories about like the characters lying about something small. So whenever you're with your children and you're watching TV or reading books with them, talk about that lie in your conversation within the story, right? So you would stop and you would say, wow, Marshall just told a story. I wonder how that made the other people feel when he lied about that. And then what did you think about that? He told a story. He said this. So bringing up, when you're reading, break away from the story or the TV show and talk about what's actually happening and how you feel about it. Ask your child how they feel about it. And so bringing it up is a great way to bring discussion just about lying. And then you're going to start to hear them tell you stories about things that happen at school, or where they've heard people lie, or maybe even when they've lied. I was actually talking to Isaac about it last night when I was planning this. I said, so why do you think kids lie? And he's like, I lie to you all the time. And I'm like, great, that's lovely. I'm like, well, why do you lie to me? He's like, I don't know, I just lie sometimes. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, well, do I catch you in the lies? And he's like, sometimes you do. And so he's like, remember when I lied about Roblox? And I said, oh, yeah. So he lied about the time he was on Roblox, and we have all these controls and stuff on it, but he had figured out the passcode on the thing that I had made. But he came to me about it. And initially he lied and he didn't tell me, but eventually he came to me and talked to me about it, and that he had changed, or he knew the passcode, which he didn't tell me for a couple weeks, but he did tell me. And I do think it's because we do talk a lot about this kind of stuff. And I think he was feeling guilty, but all kids lie. The other thing is characters. Talk about when you're watching a movie. So here's some characters that I've listed, like the evil queen, Scar from, I think that was Aladdin, Queen of Hearts, Jafar, or maybe Jafar was from Aladdin, Ursula from Little Mermaid. So all of those characters lie within the movies. So talking about that and even bringing that up whenever something might happen in your house is always a great way to address lying. The other thing I wanted to show you is a book that I have. This book is called Well, I Can Top That. Now, the reason I like this book, it is kind of like lying. It's about this little boy, Brad, that brags a lot. Well, his bragging turns into lying. Okay. And so this is a great one because he talks about that he's gone to like Zimbabwe. He's never been to Zimbabwe. And then it talks about how he, what else did he do? I'm trying to remember. We've read this before. That I think he was really good at basketball. There's all these different things, right? And so they're lies basically, but he's bragging to make himself feel better. But as we're reading the book, there's so many great conversation starters in here about why he's doing it. And so through that, Isak and I talked about how bragging can be lying and that why kids do it. And it was pretty effective when we read it together. But these are some really, really cool books. They're by Julia Cook. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she does some great social emotional books. Another ones that are in there, she had like at the back of this one talks about a bunch of other books that she has that address different topics. So looking up Julia Cook is great because she has a ton of really good books that address different issues you might have with your kids. And I have used books since Isak was little to address problems because characters are a great way to bring something up and it doesn't like make the kid feel like they're the one with all the problems. Other people and other characters have problems too. So yeah, that was pretty much it for today. So if you have any questions or anything else that you've thought about when it talks about lying and why kids lie, let me know. If I didn't address it, I will be glad to address it with you. It's developmentally normal. All kids pretty much lie, and it's just how severe and if it continues. The other thing I want to make sure I say, though, is that if you have addressed this and it is a bigger issue and you're not able to contain it at home, you might want to reach out for help to a therapist or talk to your pediatrician about it, because it could be something bigger, right? They could be having a lot of anxiety, a lot of self-esteem issues that you're not able to address at home. So I think it would be really good for you to address it and to maybe get some extra help and get some support with it. If it's gone like to the school, like gotten so far where a teacher has said something to you about it, you definitely want to get some support to help you figure out how to help your child. And I think that was it. I think that's all I wanted to say. The other thing is that I am offering private coaching. So if you're interested, go to my website and you can see under the packages I have. I have a 4-session package right now and an individual package and a free consultation. So make sure you check that out. If you're interested, I'd be glad to work with you. I do it all virtually. So we could just talk and you could give me a background of what's going on and we would come up with a plan and I would help you put that in place and help you solve some of the things going on. I can also direct you to resources you might need. I've had a lot of experience in the schools and in a therapeutic environment. So I know a lot about how to help you figure out and navigate where to go if you have a child that's really struggling. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. Have a great rest of the week and we will see you back here next Monday at 11 a.m. hopefully Eastern, or it will be Eastern, but hopefully 11 a.m. and with another topic on how to help you and your family. See you later. Bye.